Hello, everyone. This is Lisa Levinson with our special guest, Renata Bartoli, and my co-host, Judy Carmen. I run the Sustainable Activism Campaign for In Defense of Animals, and part of what we do is we host this online gathering once a month for vegan spirituality, which is an opportunity for all of us to explore veganism as a spiritual practice together through conversation, through readings, and through guest speakers. So tonight we have Renata Bartoli with us, and in a moment we'll introduce her. First, I'm going to give you a few announcements. So something very exciting, we have a vegan spirituality retreat coming up on March 13th. It will be in Florida, and it will feature speaker Victoria Moran, who has written many books, including the Good Karma Diet is her most recent book. And so we're super excited to bring the Vegan Spirituality Retreat to Florida. So you can find out more about that at idausa.org/retreats. And I put that into the chat box for those of you who are online. And we also have a wonderful guest the next month. I'll just let you know, Jonathan Cohen. He's from the Jewish Vegetarian Society. He'll be our guest the next month. We also have, part of the Sustainable Activism Campaign, we have the first Thursday of the month, we also have these webinars. So stay tuned for more on those. And the last Thursday of the month, we have an animal activist online support group. So all of those events you can find on the events page, which is idausa.org/events. So this online gathering is really the sister events to all sorts of other in-person gatherings for vegan spirituality that are happening all over the country. We have about 20 groups, and they meet independently. If you would like to start a group in your area, please let us know. We can help you get one started. You can email us at vegansspirituality@gmail.com, and we'll help you start one of these in your area. So that's a fun way to connect and also to explore this in person. And we started these online events so that we could connect despite the miles and despite all of the things that keep us separated. We can still be part of the community. And so that's a little about me and about our group. And I'd like to introduce my co-host, Peace to All Beings author, Judy Carmen, and she'll share a bit about herself and also introduce our guest speaker today.
Hi, everybody. This is Judy. Sorry you can't see me like you can see Lisa and Renata. I live out in the country, and I can't seem to get my camera thing to work. But I am here in spirit with all of you. I am going to introduce Renata, and I am really thrilled that she is willing to join us all the way from London. So it's very late there, and I think she said she had some coffee. But we're just really honored, Renata, that you were willing to stay up so late and give us your wisdom. Renata Bartoli is a highly qualified hypnotherapist. She's a published writer and speaker with a solid academic background and over 20 academic publications, plus 2 books to her credit. She specializes in reincarnation in spiritual disciplines. How fascinating. And she has gained an international reputation by regressing hundreds of people around the world, both one-on-one and also in workshops. Some of her regressions have been published in the national press, and her own story, which we're going to hear a little bit about, is featured in the book called Miracles Happen, which was written by Dr. Brian Weiss and Amy Weiss. I hope I pronounced their last name correctly. Weiss. Renata, is it Weiss?
Yes.
Oh, okay, Weiss, W-E-I-S-S.
I think it means white in German.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And the name of the book, again, is Miracles Happen. Renata has her doctorate in now listen to this, comparative Neo-Latin philology, which is the historical branch of linguistics, and she has studied symbolism, the Christian and pre-Christian descriptions of journeys to the other world in medieval Europe, the history of religion, Jungian psychology, the role of the subconscious, and hypnotherapy. She specializes in advanced past life therapy, past life energy therapy, future life progressions, life between lives, age regression therapy, hypnotherapy, Reiki, and counseling. You can read more about Renata, which it sounds to me like just a wonderful, wonderful thing that we could spend days with you, Renata. I'm sure learning from you. But
if I start speaking of certain subjects, I can speak for days. Yes.
Yeah, you have so much knowledge and experience. But I wanted to point out that your website, the links are over there on the chat box. And if you are just on the phone, you can Google. One of the websites is at the Apple Tree Hypnotherapy, and the other website is Footprints from the Past. So, with all of that said, we're all anxious to hear you, Renata. My first question is, could we hear a little bit about your personal story of suffering with psoriasis and for many years, and then how veganism actually cured it?
Yes, I developed psoriasis when I was 12, and they say that is like diabetes and gout. The earlier it comes, and the worse it is. So my case was pretty bad. Doctors practically made a mess with me. They said it was degenerative, so it could only go worse. It started on my head, and it spread all over the body. And so you can imagine that for a girl and a young lady, psychologically, when I met a boyfriend or a friend, a man, a boy, the first things I said was that I had that because I felt so uneasy. I had a lot of side effects with all what the doctor gave me, and no results for the psoriasis. At the age of 24, I saw the director of a dermatologic clinic who told me he would put me on a terrible diet, almost starvation, because it seems that helped to keep psoriasis at bay. And if in 10 years I was the same, that would have been successful. And when I left, I just wanted to die. At that point, I said that's not life. So I told myself I needed to find a different solution, a solution. So I started trying different things. I tried acupuncture with a Chinese doctor, and that was successful, but it was very long. Now, psoriasis depends a lot also on psychological situations, and my situation at home was very bad. I believe that the therapy was not enough if I didn't leave. So I did leave. I wanted to, and I continued. I also learned to do acupuncture myself. I knew the points where to put the needles, and then I tried other things, much more unusual, if you want. The fact is, I became a vegetarian in '84, and there was no information at all. Actually, I thought of being vegetarian, but I was not, because I didn't know that the cheese had animal, not only milk, had animal products, was not vegetarian. Everyone told me I would die because you can't live without eating meat. And there was a group in Milan that propose veganism, but I didn't know anything. And doctor told me that soya was dreadful for psoriasis, that if I ate soya, I would have been covered with psoriasis.
Wow.
So I went on as a vegetarian until in '99 in London. Once I stopped at stall of animal rights, and I picked up various leaflets. And when I realized the extension of abuse, I told myself, that's it. I don't eat, I will be vegan, I will eat soya, and if I will be covered with psoriasis, it means that's my destiny. They can't say that it was a placebo effect. I would say a nocebo effect, because for a few months I was terrified to find some explosions. At that time I had very few patches, but still there. And the only change was that since I became a vegan, those few patches disappeared. This was '99, and now it's 2016. I haven't had a psoriasis since then.
Wow. Isn't it something?
That's amazing.
So all those years. Yeah.
Wow.
What
I don't have a great trust in conventional medicine after this experience.
Right. Well, and is that the story that's in the book Miracles Happen?
Oh, yes. Well, that is since my childhood. It was very, very young. I had memories and mainly dreams, recurrent dreams of a previous death. And this is quite common in children. I think I started around the age of 2, which seems that is the typical age when these memories come up. But normally around the age of 6, 7, they disappear, while in my case they didn't. And so actually after the publication of the book, and this proves that you can read and study and analyze things all your life, and you always discover something more. I think there were actually 2 different lives. For those who read the story, what I knew is that I died under a pier trying to escape. I was a German-French Jew in the resistance during the last war. And I was with my partner, and we ran away from Nazis, from German soldiers. And we went under the pier to protect ourselves against the bullets, but the sea went up, and we were practically, I at least, I don't know, my partner, I was drowned because my head was pressed under the pier, and I drowned. That is what I remember, and I agree with that. That hasn't changed. But I have a sort of anguish of fascination about the water coming up on the land, and I thought it was connected with that death, but I saw a film some years ago where they recreated a tsunami, and I think I was looking at that over and over again, those scenes, and I think that is something different. So probably there were 2 different situations. That can make sense anyway. But because of that, I try to make sense all my life. So I started reading about these things very, very young. And also I had other strange things happening to me, and I wanted to prove to myself that I was not mad, that there were other people having similar experiences. So I started reading at that time.
Well, and that brought you really deeply involved into spirituality from many different perspectives, it sounds like, through your work. And I did go to your website and the tree one, and apple tree one, and I found that free meditation session that is guided by your wonderful voice. It was just wonderful, and I wanted to ask you because we talk quite a bit on this particular call about veganism as a spiritual practice. Do you think meditation and relaxation can help vegan activists who are suffering from burnout and compassion fatigue?
Definitely. I think anything that takes the mind away from the subject that is so painful will help. Anything that can make you concentrate enough and at the same time is pleasant to you. And obviously relaxation and visualization, guided visualization, are great helps. But people need to understand that we all have limits, and sometimes we want to do more than we can, and we have to understand where our limit is. And if we destroy ourselves, we don't help anyone. So it's important that at some point we realize that we have reached the limit and we needed to make a break, and that will help.
Well, and I would imagine that you have run into that with a lot of people that you have worked with past lives and counseling and all the many things you can do where people are trying to do more than they can.
Yes.
So,
yes.
So any kind of therapy, different kinds of therapy, would you recommend that?
Well, past life regression, the therapy is used in so many different situations, especially when there is something traumatic that happens in more than one life. For example, in my case that I said earlier, the tsunami, if I died in a tsunami, I don't know, and the memory of dying under the pier, these are very similar situations, which means die drowned. If the same situation is repeated in several lives, it's likely to leave a mark on the present life. And it's what practically Dr. Weiss did from the very beginning. He didn't believe in reincarnation. He was a psychiatrist and definitely didn't believe in that. He couldn't cure, he couldn't help a patient, and once he asked her in hypnosis, go back to the origin of your problems, because he couldn't find anything in this life. And she did go back, but she went back some thousands of years. And from there,
and that surprised him.
She realized she had gone through similar situations many times. The fact is that as soon as she relieved those experiences, symptoms in this life lessened and then disappeared. So people who say that there are inventions of our mind, it's possible, but in that case they are not so powerful to heal a problem. That people may have carried all. I had clients who had terrible phobias, and they solved in one session, finding out what happened. So, yes.
So, if someone was a vegan activist and an animal activist, but was maybe having personal problems that were preventing them from doing what they wanted, some kind of therapy like this could maybe help remove.
Yes, because you go back and you see obviously everyone reacts in a different way. Some people are more successful than others. All depends on what the subconscious mind wants to show and is prepared to share. But normally, yes, because you go back, you see the problem, you see what happened, and once it's brought up to the conscious mind, and with the guidance of the therapist, you can make changes. There are techniques which are exercises to do in hypnosis, and that helps the person to solve the problem and to move on in their own present life. I don't do past life regression just for spiritual tourism. I do because I think it helps people to improve their present life. Right. And as far as animals are concerned, I had clients who spontaneously regressed to lives as animals.
Oh, really?
And it's not in the Darwinian steps by steps from amoeba to the top of the chain, the great humans. It doesn't work in that way. Spirituality is something that has nothing to do with that. The physical body obviously evolved from one type to another. Spiritually speaking, I believe that humans who have such strong egos are much more blocked than other species who don't have such an ego. So they are much more open to the whole, to the universal consciousness. But certainly my clients saw themselves as animals mixed with the human lives, and not in chronological order, and unusual animals, in the sense that I had a client who had no experience of pets. Animals don't belong to her culture. She was scared of dogs, and she saw herself as a dog.
Oh.
So if I see myself as a cat, someone obviously who knows me would laugh, because what a surprise, knowing how I feel with cats. But this lady didn't even like dogs. She was scared, and she saw herself as a dog. Another person saw himself as a camel. So everything made sense in what they saw, in what they experienced. But I believe that when we plan our new life, we set up some goals, a sort of blueprint of things that we want to learn and we want to experience. And said that, we decide the sex, the country, the social status, all these things, and also the species. So this is possible.
So we could decide in between lives we want to experience what it would be like to be a certain animal.
I believe so, because otherwise I couldn't explain the experiences of my clients. And the spirit is one, and animal communicators has shown the beauty of the spirits of animals. And as I said, not having such a big ego, spiritually, they are much more advanced than we are. We have to struggle with free will and all these things.
I wonder, it would be interesting to see if a lot of animal activists maybe have been animals in past lives, and so are much more tuned in and sensitive to what they're experiencing, what they're suffering.
Yes, it's possible. But I have to say that, as usual, we humans always go with blinkers. Even in this field, many people are still find it difficult to accept this. And there are mediums who speaks of animals that when they connect with a dead person, they say there is their dog or their cat there and other things. So there is somehow proof of this, but many regressionists still are still a bit, they sit at the table and they eat a beefsteak, so they can't feel comfortable with accepting that they could be born as a cow.
Mhm. Yeah, I think probably most of us could, because we feel such an affinity to them and to all the other animals too. And it does seem like there's something about animal activists that makes us feel different from other people, even, because we will tell them what's happening to the animals, other people, and they won't react like we did when we first heard about it. And so it's always fascinated me that some people just get it immediately, and others it could take years or maybe lifetimes to understand.
There is another aspect that is more psychological. Up to the age of 7, approximately, we live in a state of sort of hypnosis, in the sense that our rationality is not developed. This is why children believe in Santa Claus. And then at some point they say, oh, well, actually, it's not possible. Now, all what you learn up to that age is normally put inside your mind and stays there. When you grow up, you can confront your parents about all sorts of things, but normally you don't discuss the things that you learned in the first years of life. Now, children are given meat to eat, and that is accepted as a matter of fact.
Right.
I believe that if someone lived in a vegan world or something like that, and up to the age of 10 or 12, and suddenly were often offered meat, they would say, "But are you mad? That is the dead body." But because this comes before that age, it's accepted as a matter of fact. It's not discussed. Some of us don't accept it. But, the tendency is to accept without challenging, and that, I think, is a big point.
Yeah, it's very hard on little kids because they are fed meat from the very beginning, and their parents believe that they have to do that.
Yes.
Although there's more information's getting out there now, but
yes, of course,
still very
there
common.
Are changes, yes.
Yeah, and then they find out somehow or other that food is actually from an animal. And it's very shocking, but they respond in different ways depending on the culture they're in. But I remember when McDonald's used to advertise, hamburgers that grew on trees. Remember that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but there are more and more children now that are refusing and understanding. Probably because things are moving so fast, and also the internet. There is so much more information.
Right.
I mean, the world has changed completely from the 90s, and so things that seem to be impossible, now they are obvious. When I became a vegetarian, really there was no information at all, of nothing. Now in London, you go to a supermarket, the food is labeled suitable for vegans,
Right. Yeah, it's like a miracle.
It's another world.
It is.
Sometimes I feel very, very old because of that. So the internet has helped hugely because it gives access to so much information. Those who don't want to know, they will continue not to know. But if you don't want to know, there is no way.
Mhm. Right. And there are many people like that still. But yeah, it's amazing how quickly things have changed and how easy it is to be vegan now. Very easy.
Yes.
And yeah, when I went vegan, oh my, I think there were maybe 2 or 3 vegan cookbooks, and now they're everywhere. There's thousands of them.
And also ingredients, products, all sorts of things. Yes.
Right.
But you know, I don't think that everyone needs to be persuaded. I think many just follow the others. When it becomes fashionable, if you think about smoking, how it changed in a very short time, it became unfashionable, and there you are.
Yeah. Do you see that happening in our near future with veganism, with eating animals?
It depends if we focus on the half full or half empty. If you look at the atrocities happening, they are mind-blowing and really despairing. But then you read and you see so many things, positive things that happen, that in the past, even 20 years ago, would have been unthinkable.
So, yeah.
You know, it's an avalanche. When things start moving, we'll move more and more.
Yeah, we're really gaining tremendous momentum. And
they
are.
They say at this rate, at the end of the century, Great Britain will be vegetarian.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sounds good. And maybe the whole world.
Yes, will follow.
Yes. Well, so how do you put your spirituality and your veganism together? How do they intertwine? And does your veganism help your spirituality?
Well, I'm very connected to my animals, and I can sense their spirits, and I can somehow, at a higher level, communicate. And I believe, also reading books of science, I'm quite interested in quantum physics and consciousness. They all speak about a universal consciousness. All the distinctions are distinctions of our egos and for our benefit. What amazes me the most is that these scientists who explain this and they challenge their own careers to say this, then they are happy to do to test on animals, and that's really, I don't understand it. Apart from anything else, logically, it doesn't make any sense, because it goes against what they want to persuade others. So,
right.
But this is how the human mind goes, you know, step by step with the blinkers, and it's always difficult to break a blinker, and as soon as you break one, there is another appearing. So it's step by step.
Yeah. It seems slow, but it's happening. And when we think how far we've come over the centuries, it's really fast right now. What's happening, the changes. So, so your spirituality is has been a journey for many years, it sounds like, through all your studies in the past 5 years.
My main study, academic study on the journeys to the other world, the person who did it, he was a monk, an Irish monk of early Middle Ages, but I proved he was mainly pagan, Celtic pagan, yet he was vegetarian, I would say vegan. So,
wow.
And
he was pagan, but he called himself a monk?
Yes, it was at the beginning of Christianity in Ireland, and the class that went to rule monasteries came from not the Druid, but another group of spiritual leaders of paganism. So they knew all the pagan traditions much more than the Christian ones. And early Christianity in the British Isles was very, very different from what was on the continent and what we know today. There are beautiful stories of hermits saving animals from hunters and so on. It's another world. But my monk, St. Brendan, went to look for the earthly paradise, found it. He seems in Cuba, came back, and but there are other stories that say that he tried and tried without succeeding, and he went to ask his sister while he couldn't succeed, and his sister told him, because your boat has hides and is made of hides, and death can't enter a spiritual world. And he was, they say, well, he became vegetarian, didn't eat meat since he became, since he was ordained priest, but he was a monk, actually. The definitions are a bit different. So it's quite interesting from that point of view.
So did he make a boat out of wood then, after that?
Pardon?
His boat was made of hides, you said?
Yes, at the beginning, and he changed. He made it with, I don't remember, with something else, with canes, a sort of canes, and he managed to go.
And then he found what he was looking for.
He found, he came back, he brought some fruit back, and from the descriptions, it seems that he reached Cuba, but certainly he reached America.
When was that?
So.
But when was that, Renata? How many years ago did he reach America?
He was possibly the 7th century of the Christian era. So it's a long time ago. The Vikings also reached America, so it was not unusual. And the boats existed. Recently, in the 70s, Tim Severin, a sailor, made a boat like the one of Brendan, and he tried to cross the Atlantic, and he managed. So it proved that it was possible, yes.
Yeah. Well, and I guess there were a lot of what they called the Desert Fathers who were also vegetarian.
Yes.
And one of the things that Keith Akers talks about, he was our guest last month, is that they were imitating Jesus by being vegetarian. Because, which is one of the reasons a lot of people think Jesus was a vegetarian, because so many of the priests and monks were vegetarian, saying they were doing that to copy him, to live like he did.
I read something, actually I saw it in a video, speaking about the translations. Well, I'm a philologist, so I know very well that it's very easy. Manuscripts are full of mistakes. A word taken for another. When he speaks of fish, actually, he seems to speak of a fruit. I don't remember the words. But, they showed in Aramaic the two words, and they were very close. And when they translated, I don't know if it was a translation from Aramaic or the translation from Greek, but they took one word for another. Right,
because that was maybe the times and they wanted it to look like
Yes.
Meat eaters were all around, and when actually it was fruit, not fish. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, there's so much about our culture gets twisted around to fit what people want it to fit, what the majority want. So,
yes.
Well, so
I saw with my research that the original text, which is in Latin, of St. Brendan Journey, and then the Romance, Neo-Latin languages, translations, medieval translations, the perspective is completely, totally different. In few centuries, everything changed. So I'm not surprised.
Right.
It's quite normal what happened with the Bible, all the translations, all the misunderstanding, and so on.
Right.
And the person who translated inferred what it was common for them.
Right. Well, I'm just looking at the clock at 7:40, and people may have questions for you.
Yes.
And so maybe we should open up for questions, and you can type them into the chat box if you're online, or you can unmute yourself. Lisa will explain how to do that.
Yeah. So far we've been in a listen-only mode where we're listening, and then in a moment I'm going to change the structure of the webinar so that people who are on their phones can press *6 if they want to ask Renata a question. And if you're on the computer, there is likely an icon next to your name which you'll be able to click and then unmute yourself, basically. So I'm going to go ahead and switch the webinar into Q&A mode.
Yes.
All attendees are muted and may unmute themselves by pressing *6.
Great. So that means if you have a question, feel free just to speak up by pressing *6, or you can, as I mentioned, click on the icon next to your name to unmute yourself. We would love to hear from you. And if neither of those work, you can always, in the chat box, you can send us a little note. It would go to everyone, actually, the question that you might have for Renata.
I'm looking at the chat box right now, and I'm seeing Lauren is saying that she's been telling her mom for a year that she could heal her psoriasis and diabetes by going vegan. So, Lauren, thanks for adding that in there, and maybe this will help her go ahead and do it and get well.
I think going vegan will help, but if there is an emotional, and normally there is, at least for psoriasis, an emotional cause, that one too must be addressed.
Okay, that's good to know, good to hear.
Yes.
Let's see.
So does anyone else have any questions for Renata about all these incredible experiences? She's specialized in spirituality and reincarnation and has been vegan for so many years. There may be some wisdom she can share with you.
While we're waiting, is somebody on there?
I'm on. I didn't have a question, but I just so appreciate listening. It's really, really beautiful. I've had not anything like her journey, but that's one of the reasons why I try to get on these calls, because it's just so beautiful to hear like-minded people that are so connected to the bigger picture. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Who is this?
Cheryl Travers.
Cheryl?
Oh, thank you.
Hi, thank
Carol.
you so much.
Yeah, and Judy, I love everything you said and you asked. Really perfect.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no, I really hear that. It's just so neat to hear people's connection to the animals and that aspect of us being animals. Like there's this thing actually happening, Renata, here. I'm in Texas, and there's this thing where this blind steer was brought to the slaughterhouse and sold by an FFA student, and they've raised all this money, and it's like their level of, I guess, sensitivity from people that care so much for an animal that has disability, and then there's other people that just have all their other agendas and everything, and it's just so interesting to hear that viewpoint, which I know that I've thought of before about coming back, and I must have been an animal, because I've worked on so many farms, and people are always like looking at me like, why do you care about the animals? And it's like, I just always love hearing people say that, because when you're in a vegan population or you're on vegan Facebook pages, you can feel comfortable, but then you're in these other masses of people who are like, eating chicken McNuggets, et cetera, and you're like, what's wrong with this picture? And yet it's just so beautiful to listen to such a wise woman bring that to our attention yet again. Can't hear it enough.
Yeah.
Oh,
thank you so much.
Yes, thank you very much. And I wanted to also bring up a question from in the chat box.
I see two questions here on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
One is Lauren Morgan. Yes, that's a good thing to say. Some people say that they have chosen to be food. Humans say that. If they choose to be food, why do they struggle so much when they are taken to the slaughterhouse? We can invent our stories as we like. I think this is I heard this story already, also for hunters. I find it appalling. It's the worst that can be said, that the victim chose to be a victim.
Hear that a lot.
And the other question is, how do you reconcile a spiritual person that is not vegetarian? I don't reconcile. It's up to them to find an explanation. To me, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Well, that's really helpful to share your perspective, I think, Renata. I have heard the same things myself, that the animals are giving of themselves to die for our needs. And I think you being able to have this other perspective is really helpful for a lot of us who hear those sorts of things, and to know that doesn't make sense, especially looking at it from that victim point of view. We would never say that about a person, that they wanted that to happen. That victim, they wouldn't want any sort of perpetration to happen to them or on them.
Yes. It's like with women. When they are raped, the man says, she looked for that.
Yes. Right. Well, it hasn't been that long since women were considered property just like animals.
Exactly.
And yeah, so raping was totally normal not that long ago, and accepted culturally in lots of cultures. This question that Frank is asking, how do you reconcile a spiritual person that is not vegetarian and has no consciousness of the pain and suffering by their fork, reminds me of my book, The Missing Piece. I had asked some psychic people who are vegan how they became vegan, and they said, their stories are in the book, and they were saying that their spirit guides actually told them that they would be much more, their psychic powers would be much enhanced if they would stop eating animals because of the violence and how it affected their energy field.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that, Judy. That's very powerful.
I know. It really was amazing to me. But yet there's so many spiritual teachers out there now that won't even discuss it, much less tell us whether they're vegan or not.
I have had a few very awful experiences in this field. So many. It's so easy to call themselves spiritual, and I prefer not to go too much into this subject because I get very angry. I had some horrible experiences. Even at the Omega Center where I attended, there were
really?
With
in New York.
Brian Weiss, some people there told me things that really, anyone can claim whatever they want. They can claim they are spiritual, they are this, they are that. It's up to them. I can say that I'm an Eskimo, but it doesn't make me an Eskimo.
Good point. I think Lisa is moving. If those of you online saw her disappear, I think she's moving so we can see her both.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm still here. I just wanted
to.
It's gotten really dark outside.
There you are. There you are.
Yay. A little late. So, there we go.
Well, now Renata has agreed to do a little closing.
I hear very far away.
Oh. Can you hear us, Renata?
Hello?
Yeah. Can you hear us? All right.
Yeah. Hello?
Hello?
Yes.
Can you hear us?
Yes. I changed the telephone, yeah.
Okay. I was just telling everyone that you had offered to do a little meditation for us. And so we've got about 7 minutes left in our hour, and I'm sure everyone could listen to you for hours, but we try to keep it to just an hour because everyone's busy. So now is your time if you would like to lead us in a meditation.
I hope I can manage in 7 minutes.
Okay.
I don't promise, but nearly.
If it goes a little over, it's okay.
Yes. So do I start now?
Yes,
sure.
Why don't you start
now?
Yeah, thank you.
Tell me when I can start.
You can start right now, Renata.
Okay, excellent. Right. So, make yourself comfortable, first of all, and close your eyes. Maybe you are sitting in a chair, hopefully, and start to relax. Imagine a bubble of beautiful light, shooting energy above your head. Look at its color and see it expanding and flowing inside your body like a beautiful, shiny river, bringing peace, calm, and relaxation to all your organs, all your muscles, all your body, from the top of your head to the tips of your toes. And now feel your entire body and mind perfectly comfortable and at peace. Concentrate on your breathing and the rhythmic beat of your heart. And now start to go on that inward journey, taking yourself deeper and deeper into your innermost being, finding that place deep inside where there is peace and calm and tranquility. And you can be curious about that place and those comfortable feelings that you are noticing as you come closer and closer, coming to a place of safety and comfort deep inside yourself, this place that feels more and more comfortable and safe and peaceful as you settle yourself down deep inside yourself. And you know something now that you have been only vaguely aware of up to now, becoming aware that this place, deep inside, has been here for a long, long, long time. And as you look around yourself, taking in the tranquility of the scene, being aware that this place has just the right kind of light for your needs, knowing that you are surrounded by soft sounds that soothe and comfort, feeling a gentle wind on your skin, light perfumes floating on the air, everything just as you need for your comfort and peace. And I want you to take a few moments to explore this place. And you can become aware that this place is as small as a grain of sand and as large as the universe. And as you feel it expand and contract in time with your breathing, you can make yourself so familiar with it that it will be a place that you will want to return to time and time and time again. And in these few moments, which will, in this relaxed state, be all the time you need, you become aware that somewhere in this place, set in a safe corner, there is an eternal spark, the breath of the universe, that is the life force within you. And you know that this spark was inside you already. When you woke this morning, when you were a child, when you were a baby, cradled in someone's arm, even when you were in the womb, and then you slowly developed, taking your rhythm from the stars, from the planets, from nature, naturally developing in the right way for you. And when you were born, you knew this place was deep inside you, and you returned to it easily whenever you needed to. And you kept returning to this place when you were a child and a young person, and the spark continued to guide you through your life up to tonight. And this spark, which is deep inside you, where you are right now, listening to me, will continue to guide you right up to the end of your life. And as you breathe your last breath out, the spark will carry the essence of you back to the universe, back to your home among the stars. And the connections is there from the beginning of time to the end of time. And as you take a few moments to gaze around this place of peace and calm and tranquility, and know that the spark of life is always there, safely guiding you, and know that at any time you choose to, in the future, you can make this journey again to this place deep inside you and rest in the peace and calm and tranquility, breathing to the rhythm of the universe, stars all around you, and the spark of life making the connection from the beginning of time to the end of time. And now, I want you to slowly retrace your steps, coming back along the same journey that you took to this place. And with every step that you take on this journey back, you feel more energized. You feel light and positive. You feel alert and clear. The sounds in the room and around the area are clearer. The light is becoming brighter. You are aware of your body, in contact with the chair, your hands on your clothing, the air in the room, on your face. And every breath you take, bringing you back to this time, your place, your town, and ready for the rest of the day and the rest of your life. With these battles, your life that is spread out before you. And now, slowly come back completely. Open your eyes. Take a few deep breaths, and you are back completely in your place.
Thank you, Renata. That's very special.
Yeah, that was wonderful.
Is it okay?
Thank you so much. Yes.
Yeah.
Thanks. Well, so we are now about ready to close, and we just want to thank everyone for joining us. And I cannot thank you enough, Renata, for being with us at this very late hour for you. So we hope you have very sweet dreams tonight. Get a good night.
Yes. I thank you very much. It was very interesting.
Oh,
thank you to everyone who has taken part.
Yes, and we have had a good group tonight, so I just want everyone who's with us to know that we've had about 20, 25 people join us this evening, whether they're on the phone or on the computer, and it's just so nice to know that we're all together and that we can do this internationally. This is our first international call, and we're extremely grateful to Renata for arranging everything and staying up so late to be with us live on this call. And this replay, once we have it processed, we'll be able to send this out and people can watch it again and listen to Renata's words deeper and do the meditation again. And you can also share the link with your friends and share the love, the vegan spirituality love. And that spark, just that spark that we have within us, we can continue to share that light and our bright intentions that we have on this planet to be a beacon of compassion and hope for the animals. So many, many thanks to everyone for joining us tonight, and we hope that you'll join us for our next one in March with Jeffrey Cohen of the Vegetarian Society, the Jewish Vegetarian Society. It'll be interesting to hear his perspective too. So it's been a real treat, and if you are able to join us for the Vegan Spirituality Retreat, that's a lovely event with yoga, meditation, a lot of self-reflection and time to do a community ritual that includes the blessing of the animals to help heal animals suffering all around the world. So if you're in the area of Florida, hopefully you can join us there. And so let's take a moment, if you'd like to all unmute yourself. We have a group tradition of just saying goodbye to each other. So if you'd like to unmute yourself, we can say our group goodbye to everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. And Ginger says it was wonderful to see us, and she liked to hear what we had to say, and also to Cubit, your name on the screen, and we appreciate your feedback and all of your depth. I wish I understood the translation of it, but maybe in some time I will. So again, if anyone wants to unmute themselves, and Miss Judy, thank you for being such a wonderful co-host. It's a delight to spend this time together. It truly is. Oh, thank you, Judy. Well, good night, all. Have a wonderful, beautiful Valentine's Day, and just know that we want to share the love with you. It's actually Activist Appreciation Month at IDA this month, so we want to share the love with all of you and And we have some Valentine's memes that are just meant specifically for activists and animal people. So please stay tuned to the IDA Facebook page. Sending you lots of love, light, and hope for us and for all living things.
Thank
Good
you
night, all.
Thank
Good night,
you.
everybody.
Thank you very much.
Good night,
everyone.
everyone. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Bye.